What's going on, everybody? It's the Wednesday show here on Brownie Postgame. I'm your host, Mike Killey. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Killey, as always. And with me, my co-host on the Wednesday show, we have Mike Ristano, a.k.a. Bonzo1273 on Twitter. Mike, how's it going?
Good. How are you making out?
Not bad, not bad. This has been a fun week, right?
Yeah,
You
for
know, we've
sure.
had some interesting things happen.
Yeah, say the
We
least.
some of the good stuff. We'll start off with our first topic of today, our offensive line extensions, right?
Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy that we extended Wyatt Teller to start off the week, right?
Yeah.
He had a fantastic game, and then just Bitonio today. Actually, before I get into that, it's just some shout outs to the chat. Chubba Wubba Hub 24, what's going on? Evan Chase, Mario G, Derek Jones, Shane Garrett, Ray, Verdine 16. What else we got in the house? Andrew Walters, Keith C, Mids Plug, Ara's here, Ryan Brown, Mike R.
I was gonna say, don't miss Mike R.
Mike R is in the house. We've got some Wednesday stuff going on, right? We've got let's get some emojis in the chat. Connor King's here.
He got in.
Welcome Connor's, you're here. Hey man. We were just talking about you a second ago. I was like, he asked me how to leave a comment. I don't know what you were asking, but congratulations, you're in.
Oh.
Yeah, so welcome guys. Yeah, just going back to that, I was really pleasantly surprised. It was a nice contract for Wyatt. Him and his wife are both pretty awesome people, and it's good to see good people, good things happen. Cody Baker, Lynn Savage, how's it going on? How's it going? Red Raven Rucker. Yeah, so I was happy to see that. And we locked him up for what, 4 years through 2025?
Yeah, him and Bitonio locked up through 2025.
That's great. So our guard situation is solid, right?
Yeah, and I knew you would ask about timetable, so I made it a point to jot it down. So Bitonio and Teller are both extended through 2025.
Okay.
Jed's here till he's on the rookie deal till 2023, and then Shredder and Conklin are signed through next year. So we're gonna walk it back, and I mean, obviously the year is young still, but it's good to know that they're all in place next year, and then you've got two solid guards that are back for a foreseeable future. So that's good stuff.
I think so. Jack Conklin is 27. He's still in the prime, and then Shredder, I think, is a little bit older. He's in his 30s, I believe. Yeah, he's 30 years old. So Shredder's getting up there, but I think he's got a couple years left. I think Shredder's got 3 more, at least.
Yeah, I think so.
And Conklin's got, as long as if he can stay healthy, several years left as well. So I think this offensive line unit is going to be together for a while.
Yeah.
And then, but it comes down to depth. We have to make sure that we can shore that thing up with depth, because our starting 5 are very good. But the big question mark is, like, we go to Blake Hance like we have now, then what?
Yeah, I mean, you have Nick Harris back up to JC. They've tried him at the other positions, and he's done okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, besides Hance and Harris, you're kind of, the cupboard's bare, so to speak.
Yeah. So we may have to add a little bit more depth. But that's good. I mean, it's like, hey, fun stuff. Good that we shored up those guys. Wyatt Teller is, what a steal. What did we trade? We traded like a 5th and a 7th for him.
Yeah, that was a. I know everybody likes to go back and there's always that that war that goes on especially on Twitter with the Dorsey sympathist and Barry and Depot, and I mean, I'm not telling you anything new, but
Yep.
but that's one of the guys that I mean, you can't deny he pulled a gem for us.
That was, I mean, that might go down as his single best thing that he did in Cleveland, which is, other than drafting Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward and Baker.
Hey, you could even say that if you wanna go out on a limb and get a little crazy, you could actually throw OBJ into Dorsey's finest moments, and I say that because by him going into one of his usual temper tantrums and forced his way out, he in turn was the sole reason, I believe, and I'm sure you would agree, as to why we were able to lock up both guards this week. So you know what? Thank you, John Dorsey, and thank you, OBJ.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the silver lining in this. There has to be a correlation between OBJ being cut and those guys being sidelined. It has to be, because the timing lines up, feel perfectly with that. So, who knows? But I do think, and we'll definitely get to some OBJ talk here. But another exciting thing too is, from an injury perspective, the news today that JOK is on the scheduled to return list.
He is A-OK.
And he's A-OK, yeah. And was he back in practice and everything?
As a matter of fact, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but they asked Anthony Walker about it, and he said he looks good to me. He looks ready to go. So,
wow.
Yeah, must not have been as severe as I guess we worried that it was. That's a good thing, especially if he can go. He could cover Henry and Asiasi, both solid tight ends on Sunday.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic, because our defense played really well against Cincinnati, in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably you could say the defense won us that game. Right?
Played well.
All the takeaways, 3 takeaways? And a fourth, I guess, if you count that fourth down stop they had. I think they were 0 for 2 for a fourth down. Yeah. So just the defense is a Jekyll and Hyde, man.
They really are.
It is confusing. Whereas, I mean, if you really look at it, the last couple of weeks, the Steelers game, the defense put them in a position where they could have won the game.
Yeah,
it's
very true.
When your offense can't score, more than 15 points, you're going to lose football games.
Yeah, and an interesting point in that game, and I was thinking about it, and I don't know why I went back and watched that film again as well. I think I did it because I still have a hard time believing that we lost that game, but I looking back on it, the first few series after Conklin went out, the Steelers threw TJ Watt over on Hans's side, and it was rough for a few series to where, and if you remember, there were a couple of 3 and outs here and there, and it was literally right when he came into the game. So I guess point being is, I think if Conklin doesn't get hurt in that game, or if he's already hurt and Hans got the reps during the week and he's the starter, I think you might have seen a little bit different offense on those 3 or 4 series that really, looking back on it, it hurt.
Yeah. And, I think it honestly also comes down to he doesn't have that many reps going against elite talent. I doubt they're throwing Miles up against him in practice.
Yeah.
I just doubt they are. But, those are reps that are going to get him better. You're not going to see too many players that are going to be better than, TJ in this season. Right? And the way that they played against Cincinnati, it was pretty darn good. So, and I'm excited to see that, the PFFs. I've saw tons of stuff coming across on Twitter, and I actively, every time I was like, oh no,
You closed your eyes, huh?
don't look. But I saw that they're going to be fun, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, most definitely. There's some. You're gonna be very pleased. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you were talking about the defense against the Bengals, right?
I was.
They played a lot more man last game. So I'm interested to see if we see a little bit more of that against the Patriots. But I found it pretty interesting. And wow, look at that. You play a little bit of man with man press corners that we have. And out of nowhere, Denzel comes alive, right? Gives him the opportunity. You look at Newsome. I mean, the closing speed on that kid. He gets beat, and he still has the speed to make up ground. Fluid hips, etc. So they put those guys on an island quite a few times, and they did really well. So I hope that that's a trend that we see again. History says probably not, but hopefully that story changes. So we'll see.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because now I'm going back to the offensive line though.
Yeah.
Just looking at that Zach Jackson. Yeah, Akron Jackson tweeted out that the Browns had placed center Nick Harris on COVID reserve.
Yep, he was number 5.
And then Stainbrook tweeted out that the Browns have entered enhanced protocol today, meaning virtual meetings, masks inside, and increased testing.
Yep, that is true. Yeah, it was Zoom meetings today.
For Wednesday, basically you missed Wednesday practice then.
No, they practiced.
Oh, they did practice.
Yeah. You're allowed to practice. You just can't. They just, like, the cafeteria is closed. They can't. All meetings are Zoom, so they practice, then they go home. And then that goes on until tomorrow. I'm assuming, if you get negative tests, they may pull the leniency, if you will. But yeah, it's their discretion, but I'm assuming that it's X amount of days where it doesn't seem to be spreading anymore, if you will.
Got it. Who then? And guys, keep me honest in chat. Evan, thank you. If my mic is cutting out, I'm gonna make some changes real quick. So just keep me posted on that. I'm gonna try to get even more into the mic, but I get super annoyed when this thing cuts out. I actually got a new audio system that I haven't set up properly, and I probably should have tested it before I went live today. But nonetheless, it's maybe it's my audio. It could be me. So very possible. Who then? If Treader goes down, who's taking this? Who's doing the snaps?
That's a good question, because you figure, yeah, Harris is on. I don't know. I don't want to know. Why'd you have to bring this up?
And we have to cover all contingencies, right?
We're
Brownie post game in advanced protocol.
We are, but now you got me nervous, and now it's Wednesday night. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. Dad, are you joining?
I'm joining.
Okay, you have to log out like I asked you to. You gotta log out and you gotta log back in with your Gmail.
Log back in on my Gmail.
Correct.
I hit the link that you sent me.
I know, but you have to log out. So in Zoom, you gotta log out. Actually, you know what? It's not a big deal. Let me just. I'm just gonna hide you, and you can. You're joined, Dad, but you're joined in audio only. We'll get that sorted out next time. Yeah, Dad, we were just talking about the offensive line that got extended, and then we're kind of talking about some of the injury stuff for the COVID list and everything. And I think Nick Harris is another guy who's a backup center, and wondering in the backup center position, like who then takes the snaps?
It would, looking at their depth chart, I mean, there's nobody behind Harris. So it would, whichever of Hudson, Froholt, or Dunn has played center before, I would imagine that's who's going to get those reps.
I would highly doubt it's Hudson.
I think Dunn has played center before.
There you go.
Michael Dunn, 2 years experience out of Maryland. I don't know. That'd be a good question to ask. Like, who's the backup? Chat. If anybody in chat knows, I doubt Blake Hance would be there.
Yeah, I don't know who it would be.
Wednesday show?
Lonzo's is here.
Yeah, we hear the dog barking in the background.
That's not my dog.
No, it's not.
No.
But Dad's
Lonzo
dog
has not made an appearance yet.
Mom and my mom wanders in, is like, what? Are you doing Wednesday now? Is it the Wednesday show? Dad, what were your thoughts on? We didn't really get your thoughts on the game last week because of technical difficulties. What were your thoughts on the game in Cincinnati?
Two things. One is it was the first game out of 9 games that we played 4 quarters. I can honestly say we played a solid offense and defense for 4 quarters. We got ahead and we didn't blow it in the second half, kept waiting for us to make that critical mistake like we've done in the past, but they didn't. And they just sort of piled it on. You know, we missed a field goal that could have made it, 3 more points and iced the game at that point when he missed it, but left him a slight opening. And then the other comment was, I sent you a chart, Mike, today. I don't know if you saw it.
I did, yeah.
About the penalties, and we are 32nd in penalties. The worst in terms of 64 penalties, but also in yardage too. In the difference between the penalties that the other team gets, which I think were like 45, and we had 64, but the net yardage was like a minus four yards because we had so many penalties, and it's the worst in the NFL. And if you would have told me that after watching last year and watching the preseason games where they appeared to be, even the second team, when they shuffled those guys in, they appeared to be so disciplined and so not making mistakes. I mean, when you line up offsides 3 times in the first quarter or first and second quarter, even the announcers were saying on the third one, if this guy is offsides, he should be shot. And as it turns out, that offsides led to, I guess, Ward's interception on the third one. When we had the sack and we were getting off the field, they were going to kick a field goal. And then, Burrows throws the terrible interception and Ward jumps right in front of it. It's like he knew it was coming. And then, instead of, going out of bounds, he goes right down the sidelines and scores, 99 yards. I mean, talk about a game-changing play. That was 14 points swing. So, those are my thoughts. Baker played good. Chubb played great. He spread the ball around, so everybody was in the game. Peoples-Jones did great. I mean, that was a great pass that he threw to him.
Perfect.
And, play calling was pretty good. The defense, I mean, I think I noticed more blitzes in this game than any of the prior ones. I don't know if that was because of Cincinnati or whatever. They're just susceptible to it. But we tried to put a lot of pressure on him. And 3 turnovers we had? I think we were +3 in turnovers, which again, we were one of the worst as far as turnover percentage. And so, I mean, to pick up 3 like that, we scored on every one of them, including, the field goal that we took on that one interception. So, I mean, it was a great game. It was the type of game I wish we had seen in Cleveland against Pittsburgh, where we could have coasted a little bit in the second half, as opposed to, we're, got the Odell thing going and Baker's not playing all that well and guys are making mistakes. And so it turned out to be a must win. We got it. We won it convincingly. It wasn't just a little squeaker. It was against a rival. Pittsburgh, like Baltimore, they just find ways to win at the end. They shouldn't win. If they had, who did they play the other night? Pittsburgh.
Bears.
Who were they against?
Chicago.
If Chicago had a timeout left, or if they had gotten 10 more yards, they would have kicked the field goal, and the kid kicked it. I think it was 65 yards he tried to kick, which was ridiculous. And it fell, like in the end zone, well short, but right on the money. I mean, he nailed it. It looked good. It just didn't have the leg. So, one timeout, one play, and they would have beat him. But Pittsburgh finds a way to win. Baltimore finds a way to come back and win. I mean, they've had so many games where they've just pulled it out of their rear ends. And I hope that we have a good game against Baltimore, and we don't give them that opportunity to take it away from us at the very end. So I was quite happy with the game from start to finish. So it was a good game.
Yeah, I think it was the most fun that I had watching a Browns game this year.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was a little toasty there, that first opening drive, and Dad, as you were saying, it was frustrating with with the unforced errors. And I think that chart that you're referring to, Dad, that got kind of spread around Twitter a little bit. What I'd like to know is, of those penalties, how many of them were unforced? Like before the snap kind of penalties, false starts, encroachment, lining up in the neutral zone, offsides, all that kind of stuff. I want to see if you take those out of the equation, how are we? And I think we're probably closer to normal. We
haven't had a lot of interference or holding calls, but a lot of illegal procedures, lining up incorrectly, offsides, false starts, hitting a guy out of bounds, personal fouls that are just, you got to control your emotions. You can't do that. Hitting the quarterback late or in the head or hitting him low. Mm-hmm. I mean, I looked across that chart, and there wasn't one outstanding team other than Tampa Bay. They seem to have a pretty good handle on their own penalties, and about not as many on the other team as well. But there was nobody like in the 20s. It was the high 30s, low 40s, and of course we're at 64 penalties. That's over three a game. That's one almost every quarter. You've got a penalty, which could be a drive killer. Luckily, the ones that affected us, that we had in the first quarter, when they handed it off and we were offsides, they ran for like 12 yards. So it really didn't matter, except for the one that we sacked him. on the 10-yard line, gave him another play, and that's the one he threw the interception on. So you might say the gods were with us. They gave us the breaks, a lot of the breaks we didn't get before. They didn't call Baker on that one where he threw it out of bounds because he just stepped out of the pocket briefly and then was back in. So they picked up the flag. So we caught a lot of breaks, and so it should be interesting to see how we play against the Patriots. I think we're going to be real thin at running back, and who else is going to come down with COVID between now and Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bonzo's made an appearance.
Well, yes. Now I'm just waiting for my dog to start barking. Then we have the full dog check going on.
We just got told today that my son-in-law, my daughter's husband Ben, has got COVID.
Oh.
He was out in Denver, and he's been vaccinated. He didn't get the booster, but he's been vaccinated, and so he's now home. Jenny says it's just sort of a bad cold. That's how he feels. But staying in bed, drinking fluids, and that type of thing.
So we'll have to put him on the family, COVID list.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Just it is what it is. We have our own protocol. We have to go into advanced family COVID protocol.
That's it. That's all you can do.
Zoom meetings, etc.
That's all you can do.
It's all you can do. So here's the deal. I think that it was a good, just to recap Bengals game. Good game against Bengals. Best one we played all year. We played 4 complete quarters of football. I would agree with my dad on that. I think that the only thing that I think we need to clear up a little bit is discipline wasn't necessarily there. That's still an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And we missed a field goal, which would I think clinched it, right? So
yeah,
those are the two things so it wasn't a perfect game, but it was certainly a game that I think, and I think they were talking about it this week, like that when Denzel returned that kick, or when Denzel returned that interception, it basically took the whole stress and the anxiety and the pressure and the bull crap that they had dealt with the Odell situation all week, the distraction that caused, and it just wiped it away with one play.
Yeah.
And they just shook it all off and just started getting loose and playing football.
Yeah, if there's no pick 6 there, I mean, I'm not a Swami, but I don't know how that game goes.
It could have gone a bunch of different directions.
Yeah.
I knew going into that game.
They could move the ball. They were, even the second drive, they just went right down the field and scored to make it 7-7. And luckily, Baker was sat on the bench for over 10 minutes in the first quarter before he got on the field. And he drove them down, made a couple of nice throws to get first downs. Chubb made a couple of nice runs to show that we're going to run the ball on you guys. And it was nice to see them drive all the way down and score. And then, put that 7 points back on the board, give us the lead again. And then if we want to have a shootout and go back and forth, Baker's up for it. The offensive line's up for it. Chubb's up for it. So, I knew it was going to be a really good game from our perspective. If we had gone 3 and out and they had tied it up at 7-7, then I would have said, okay, who knows what's going to happen. But the fact that we were able to drive right down the field and make it 14-7, that was a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, it's a 14-point swing to start the game.
Yeah.
And I knew that we're gonna pick off Burrow at least one time because he's not perfect yet. He's good. He's gonna be very good, right? He has all the tools are there.
Yeah.
He's got the size, he's got the arm strength, he's got the awareness, but just like any young quarterback, he can get rattled, and when he gets rattled, he makes mistakes.
Sure, you
So-
get disappointed in yourself when you throw an interception for one, you eliminate a scoring opportunity, and then it turns into a pick six, which is the worst thing a quarterback can do. That had to weigh on him a little bit. And then he threw a couple others. I mean, there were tips and whatnot, but still, then the one fumble, I don't know if it was Johnson who hit the guy right on the ball and he fumbled it right in play. He
Yeah.
didn't fumble it out of bounds. We even said to each other, look at that. It fell into our hands for a change. And we almost scored, went down and scored and wound up only getting a field goal out of it. But still, that's an extra score. It's another score that they have to overcome. And there's only so many possessions you're going to get. There's almost so much time on the clock. And of course, we were rooting for the clock. And there were other teams that had terrible losses on Sunday. So it wasn't like every best team won on Sunday. There were a lot of teams that could have won. I mean, just the fact that Green Bay loses because Rodgers is out because he got COVID. That it could have been very easily that Baker gets COVID. Now, granted, I think we got a better backup than Green Bay had at the time, but still, he made a decent showing. But you could tell he wasn't that wasn't that confident in standing in there several times, and they took advantage of him. So I was hoping Pittsburgh would lose, but Chicago fought hard, but they just couldn't do it at the end. It was a shame.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's that's what it's been like all season for us. With the Ravens getting lucky every step of the way of the game, the Ravens get lucky, and the Steelers just figuring out a way, hanging in there. I think the Steelers are going to fall apart like they did last year, though. I don't think that they're not built with stamina, like long-term stamina.
They got a tough schedule.
Their schedule gets rough.
Their record is almost the same as ours, and they give them less of a chance of making the playoffs than we did. So that tells you that their schedule is a little bit hard. They got to close against Baltimore, their last game. I don't know if it's in Baltimore or not, but that's a tough way to have to try to make the playoffs. Is you got to play Baltimore your last game, either for the conference title or to make the playoffs. So you're right. It's a long season. A lot of stuff.
They play in Baltimore to end. They play.
Of course they do. I mean, Baltimore's home all year.
Yeah. The last 4 games that the Steelers play are home against the Titans, away against the Chiefs, home against the Browns, away against the Ravens. That's an uphill battle for the Steelers. That's an uphill battle for any team.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about them.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about them, honestly. I think it's unfortunate that we lost the game to them. Like, really unfortunate. I think that's one of them that stings. Right? We have to now, we're not behind the 8 ball in the AFC North, but like, we're not in the driver's seat either. And we could have been.
Yeah, right? Could be 2-0 in the division.
Yeah, and it's important because we have a very tough division. Now, I don't think the Bengals are as good as their record either, though. Right? So I think the Bengals, they got lucky against the Vikings. I mean, they've gotten somewhat lucky this season so far. I don't think their roster is going to hold up as well, either. So
yeah, no, I agree.
But then you get the Ravens who are really going to be. I mean, they're the ones we have to beat.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. There's no question that unfortunately that I have to say this, but the division went through them last year, and it's going to go through them this year. So.
Yeah. PFFs, Mike. Let's head over to PFFs.
Hey, just a little note before we leave the injury report. Stevenson and Harris are both still in concussion protocol for the Patriots. So that's something to keep an eye on as the week progresses.
Yeah, they're thin on running back too, I heard.
Yeah.
So they may not be able to run the ball very well. And I think we stack up pretty good against the run. So Jones is going to have to beat us with his arm, I think. That's the way we lose if he has a really great game and we can't stop him. Then more power to him. But I think it's going to be it's nice going up into Foxborough and not having to play Brady.
That's very true.
I think
Belichick is one thing, but
yeah, I think if you look at the New England Patriots, they're very similar in nature to the Bengals. In terms of they got a young quarterback, they got a young defense. The only wild card, the difference there is the coach, like we were just saying. But
did you talk about the kid Hill that we picked up and put on the practice squad?
No, not yet. We have that listed in Browns News coming up in a couple segments.
Okay.
But yeah. So, Mike, let's head over to PFF. So, how we looking this week on the PFF front?
Since this is your dad's favorite portion of the show, I'm gonna let him tell me where he wants to go first, whether it be offense or defense.
Well, we know what the offense did, and we could predict those pretty good. Let's go to defense. Besides Ward, I'd be interested to hear who was really had an outstanding game on the defensive side.
So we all know this, so I won't keep us in suspense for very long. Denzel was one. He had a 93.1 overall. Wow. Played 63 snaps. 44 of those were in coverage, and his coverage grade was the same as his overall defensive grade, which was a 93.1. So across the board, he 75-2 in tackling. So he had a lights out game. There's no question about it. Two, I'll tell you what, I'll let you guess, Mike, who you think number 2 is, but I will give you a hint and say number 2 is a guy that was at the bottom of the barrel for very, very long time, more than a few games. And we were wondering if we were ever going to start seeing some production. And the past couple of games, he's played really well. So I'll let you guess as to who this might be.
Is it a linebacker?
It is not a linebacker. I'll give you another hint.
Okay.
He played 75 snaps, which was tied for first.
This is John Johnson?
JJ3. Yep. He was 2. 75 snaps, 51 in coverage. He had an 85.8 overall, a 79.5 tackling, and an 80.8 in coverage. So that has been very positive to see that he's starting to play well. And you wonder if Joe Woods has gotten the memo as to how you need to utilize his talent, and we're starting to see that, that start and develop. So we'll see.
Good.
So number 3 is interesting. He only played 7 snaps though, but it was good to see him come back. But AJ Green actually played 7 snaps at safety, 82.6 in coverage. 4 of those 7 were in coverage. So, he did his part. 83.5 overall. And then what's interesting is then you go to number 4, and this is a guy that prior to going out on the IR, he was playing okay. And then since he's come off the IR, he's played really well. And that's Anthony Walker. He comes in at 4. 62 snaps, 77.5 in defense overall, 80 in the run defense, 84.4 tackling wise, and a 65.8 in coverage. So we're starting to see Anthony Walker play really, really well, which is cool. All right, who's 5?
Hill. It's Hill.
It's got to be. I mean, Miles has got to be there somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
is Miles in the top 10?
Miles is 5.
Okay.
So
like,
50 snaps. But in the back of my mind, we got Troy Hill next, and where you think he is and where he is, we'll get to that. But so Miles was a 75-7 overall, 72-9 in the pass rush, 72.4 tackling. And believe it or not, he was out in coverage once and had a respectable 60 for coverage. So
60 coverage for Myles Garrett.
For Myles Garrett on one coverage play.
How honestly, that's not a bad coverage score, period.
No.
But let alone for like a defensive end.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take a 60 score from our defensive backs most of the time.
Yeah.
I would take that.
Yeah,
so good for Myles.
And it's funny you say that, because when you got to go down a few, but Greg Newsome came in at 11 with a 58-2 overall, which was surprising. And he was a 65-7 in coverage. So to go along with what you were just talking about in regards
to he was a 58 overall.
Yeah. 51 coverage plays he played. 51 times they threw at him. The closest to that.
They threw at him 51 times?
No, I'm lying. He was in coverage 51 times.
Okay, I was gonna say, that'd be crazy. That'd be like insulting to him as a man.
Not over the top, but he played off a couple of guys and made their catches look very easy, like they were wide open. And no, he made the tackle, but that's after he's 8, 10, 12 yards. So I did notice that a couple of, he's very, very good about tackling.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs to play a little bit up more on the ball, maybe.
Yeah, I think all of our corners, like, I think the good news is it seems like Joe Woods is evolving.
You would think, but do we want to jinx it?
Yeah, no.
No,
we don't.
No, we don't.
So Myles is 5.
Yep. And then you've got Elijah Lee played 13 snaps. He had a 74-3. So we always talk about these role players and what their sweet spot is. So I'm going to go to your friend Mac Wilson at 9, 13 snaps. He was a 64-7. So
I mean, that is, if we're trying to get the best out of Mac Wilson, he's got to play 15 snaps or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
and be a role player.
Yeah,
he's
it's
not a jock.
interesting. No, I agree. And Verdine 16 in the chat, I agree. This is one of those times where I think maybe the you can't go by the PFF score on Greg Newsome, but because you would think that coverage grade would have been better than a 65-7.
Oh, is it 65-7 coverage?
Yeah. But I mean, it's all relative, because I would go out on a limb and say Denzel's coverage score is probably not a 93-1 if he doesn't have the pick 6. So it's a little deceiving.
Yeah, and 90 is 93-1 is that the perfect PFF score?
It's close.
I don't think I've seen anything higher than 93-1.
Yeah, I haven't either.
That in PFF like language, that's blue. Very blue. Very blue.
And hey, speaking of blue, and again, it's a deceiving stat because Troy Hill had a couple of I think he had 3 pass rushes and he got home on them. And so his pass rush score was a 92-3. Coverage grade was a 49-8 and he was a 57-4 overall. So again, he was a guy that watching the game
looked great.
Looked like a lot better than the PFF score. But again, it's all relative.
Well, you know what, and that's the thing. That's an important. It brings up an interesting thought because as fans, we're watching Troy Hill get what, 3 sacks? Did they give him actually officially 3 sacks?
No, let me see. He had 2.
2. Okay.
Yep. 2 sacks and a hit. And the hit was one of the hurries.
Got it. Okay. So he looked like he was just on fire.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
But that's how it's like, that is one of those really deceiving type stats, because it's like the big play. When you play football, when you're playing, how many snaps did Troy Hill have? Like 50, 60?
62.
So he played basically the whole game. Basically every snap almost, right?
Yeah,
And
right up there.
And we saw like 3 great plays from Troy Hill. But that's not necessarily the measurement of how to determine how well a player played, is off of those 3 impact plays. Impact plays are good and they should be weighted accordingly. But there's the rest of it. There's like, how were you in general coverage? How was tackling? Did you tackle effectively?
But that's like Clowney. I mean, he played a good game, but if you look at his PFF score, he's down at the bottom with a 47.5, but it doesn't tell the whole story, because the run defense is green at a 74.8 and his tackling's at a 71.9. And we saw that because he played well against the run. So, it's give and take here and there when you're looking through the different categories.
Arguably, I thought that Jadeveon Clowney against the run in that game was our best player. I mean, he was running around the field making plays, 5 yards deep, after they got through.
Yeah,
so,
I thought he had a good game. He was relevant.
Yeah.
The guys, except for the beginning part of the game, where they let him get around the edge a couple of times, and I wasn't sure if it was Clowney's side or Miles' side, but they made a couple of nice runs around the edge, and that's one of my pet peeves. That you got to stay home. You can't rush unabated every play and ignore your responsibility on the edge, because they'll just run right by you. And they did it a couple of times. Luckily, Clowney, I guess when he got called either the second time or the third time, he was lining up almost a whole yard off the ball because he wasn't sure where to line up.
He had to. I mean, after that, I sat there and asked. I was like, do you think he might be doing this on purpose? I mean, it's to that point. It's like, how do you line up in the neutral zone 3 times?
Well, you put your
once it could be
your wrist down, your hand down, you take your stance, and then your helmet, you lean over, you lean forward, and your helmet is in the neutral zone.
Hey,
your arm may not be, but your head is.
Speaking of which, you know who else's helmet was in the neutral zone on a game-winning field goal on one particular Monday Night Football game? That would be Mr. TJ Watt. So,
that's inexcusable. You see all the wide receivers, they line up on the line and they look over. I guess they're waving at the ref to make sure that they're lined up right, and the ref is not going to indicate that they're offsides. But the defensive guys, they never. I mean, the ball is right in front of you. It's only like 3 yards away, unabated. I mean, it's not like there's somebody in between. You can't see the ball. I mean, you can see the ball. All you do is turn your head, and yet these guys, 3 times they lined up in the neutral zone.
Yeah, it's inexcusable.
Yeah,
like, at the bottom line, like, we're gonna lose football games because of that.
Yeah,
and arguably we have lost games because those are drive killers. If you're keeping your defense on the field because you can't get off on third down because you have something stupid after, like, you line up in the neutral zone and then they run the play and they don't get the first down, and now you gave them a first down, or you at least let them reset the play. You're not helping yourself out, right? So, like, anything else on the defense side that's kind of stood out?
No, that was pretty much it. They were talking about Teller in the chat being a 94 last year and 93.8 on Sunday.
Wow. So
Yeah.
was he number one?
Yeah, he was one.
Okay. So do you have what I wrote down?
Oh, hold on.
I want to see like how well I did.
That's right. I forgot you had that. Where did you put? When was that? When did I write that down?
Sunday the 7th. I think I said Teller was one.
I thought I wrote it down.
I thought you did too. I thought you put it in like maybe like something on your computer.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now, but I don't.
Well, we could go back to
Was it 2 weeks ago that we did that?
No, it was Sunday. It was Sunday, I think.
It was this Sunday?
Yeah.
I don't have it. Why don't I have it?
If I could go back to the tape. I want to go back and think about it now, but anyway, so Teller's number one.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I mean, the guy single-handedly broke Chubb for a touchdown. Like, he did fantastic. And then, I mean, I'm expecting the offensive grades to be good.
You know who two is.
It's got to be
Jones. People Jones.
Yeah, it's got to be Peoples Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. DPJ 91.8.
Fantastic. Off of 2 receptions.
3 was Felton, but he only played 6 snaps. He was at a 90. But I can say without the shadow of a doubt, Baker's highest score.
Oh, we got a little freeze action going. Baker's highest score
of the year.
Oh,
89.
Mike, we lost you there for a second.
Yeah, say that again about Baker.
He was. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, my internet's been weird all day. He had the highest score of the year for himself, 89.8.
I got to tell you guys, and I mean, like, between all the chatter all week about Odell Beckham, the one saving grace in all of it was we have statistical evidence that Baker was not just like a little better, significantly better without Odell Beckham. So I knew going into this game, it's not like we're going to miss. What are we going to miss? Like 2-3 receptions that could go to Peoples Jones, could go to, to Hollywood, could go to Jarvis. I mean, the bottom line is we're not going to miss him at all. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but it certainly feels that Baker's more comfortable out there. And it certainly feels like he's continuing to head in the right direction.
You look like the Baker of last year, really for the first time in a while, certainly since he's been hurt.
Yeah.
He had a decent game against Kansas City, but had a chance to win it and couldn't do it. So that was, not Baker-like. But this was the first one where his bad throws were not really bad, and he wasn't overthrowing like he was trying to protect something on his arm or whatever.
Yeah.
He let the ball go pretty well. The offensive line protected him pretty well. I think he was sacked at least once, if not twice, where he held on to the ball. But then again, he didn't throw an interception.
Every quarterback gets sacked, though,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was funny because during his press conference today, and I don't know everybody in the chat if you guys saw it, but it was interesting because you know how when somebody throws and I don't want to say that it was a zinger or anything like that, but they asked him about, do you feel more comfortable with the harness now? You had that beautiful throw to Donovan Peoples-Jones, etc. And then Baker said something where, how he goes through his whole thing, Donovan Peoples-Jones just made a great play. We read coverage, the safety bit on David's route. And I threw it up there to a spot, and Donovan Peoples-Jones was there, and I thought, ooh. So that was sort of like it. And if you weren't paying attention to when he said it, it would just go right over your head. But when he said it, I thought, interesting.
Yeah,
it was totally had to be an undercover dig at some certain other person not being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it felt like Baker just had more command. It really did. And for what it's worth, everybody wishing Odell and all the the well wishers out there. He was a heck of a teammate, and he's my best friend and all this stuff. We're gonna win a lot more games without him.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So I know somebody in the chat asked to see some of the New England PFF scores. I think it was Andrew. Who would you like to see? I could queue it up as we go over the last couple of offensive grades. I know you want to know where Chubb is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 7th.
Way up there.
Yeah, he was 75.5, 70.4 run score. So it's interesting because we ran 48 plays on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it, 48?
48.
Yeah, we had big plays.
Yeah.
Big scoring plays. And so you're on the field for one play, and you got a 70-yard touchdown. You got whatever Peoples-Jones was. I mean, those are big plays, and and even the field goal on the interception, just a couple of plays, and we kicked the field goal. So time of possession must have been way out of whack. But that typically is the case when you have big plays like that, and not just one, you have 2 or 3.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you of course the national talking heads are, well, Baker only threw 16 times, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was, 20 times or something like that. But there's more to the story. Not that he has to throw that much, but again, he was only on the field for 45. So, we didn't really have the ball that much, but to your point,
the game cut out for us the last couple minutes. So I assume Case Keenum played a couple.
Yeah, he finished it out. He came in and played 3 snaps.
Okay, so Wino forever departing. Hey guys, I'm new. I have on good authority that the Russo brothers, director of Captain America and the Avengers, are fans of this show. Cleveland natives. Captain Winter Soldier was shot in Cleveland. I believe that. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, guys, from a PFF standpoint, PFF is weird, and I don't know their exact formula on how they do things. It's a barometer, I guess you could look at it. Like it allows you to say, hey, did what I saw with my eyes match what professionals are professional graders are looking at? Now, also the Browns have their own quality assurance guys watching every play, grading every play, every snap as well. So I think of PFF as like the generic, and then the Browns internal numbers as well. So I think that is a lot of why there's, we see Mac Wilson for 13 plays, or how many plays he played,
7 to 13 is his sweet spot.
Exactly. So it's like they know how to optimize their team, right? So it is fun.
Yeah.
Is there anything interesting from the New England PFF standpoint that we should look out for?
Yeah, so I just pulled it up, and I know Andrew wanted to see the defensive backs, and then somebody asked about, I lost it. I don't know. We'll go down them. So on defense, their highest rated, I should say the highest rated player is Miles Bryant, their corner. He has a 79.1 overall and a 79.4 in coverage and a 90.7 in the pass rush. So they're sending him off the edge a little bit here and there. And then interesting, if I said to you that the second highest rated player on New England's defense is a guy that was on our team, and if you put out 100%,
Jamie
effort,
Collins,
yeah, he would put out 70% of effort for us. And
he's still in the league. How old is Jamie Collins right now?
Let me see.
Collins.
He is 30. Senior. He's going to be 32 before the year ends.
Man, how long ago did we give up on him?
2019 maybe was the first year without him.
Yeah, 2018 was his last year.
Yep. But isn't that something? He's second. Interesting. But at the same time, he hasn't played much either. Now that I'm looking at it, he only had 59 total snaps, so it's kind of deceiving. Their third highest ranked player with 487 total snaps is Adrian Phillips, their safety. And then J.C. Jackson, their other corner, is fourth with a 69.3. So they do have a solid secondary, it seems.
Where does their defense rank pass-wise and rush-wise against the other 31 teams in the league? They're being touted as having a good defense. I'm just wondering if they're top 10.
Defense, it's tough. It's kind of tough. Like
pass or rush.
Well, pass yards, they are towards the bottom. Mm-hmm. They're in the bottom. They're probably like 20th, maybe 2022. Trying to think of maybe run yards. No, hold on a second. That was on the offensive side. From a yards perspective, Patriots, they're in the middle of the pack from a yards perspective. Passing, rushing, towards the bottom of the pack, rushing. Max Nikolenko comes in with a super chat. Is Mac Jones a dirty player? He held the leg, twisted the ankle, and swept the other leg of the Carolina defender, strip sacked him. I don't think he's dirty. I actually take him for his word for it that he thought that the guy had the ball and that he was trying to make a tackle. I don't think he was trying to hurt him or play dirty.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. He could be dirty. He's a quarterback, so it'd be dumb if he did that. But I think if we did what we did to Joe Burrow and Justin Fields, I think Mac Jones is in for a. I think he's in for a tough game, and just like Justin Fields, Mac Jones is in his entire life has never played somebody as good as Myles Garrett, because there aren't that many on the planet. There's the guys in his class would be like TJ, Clowney, Chandler Jones. I mean, there's the Bosa's.
Did you guys talk about the play that they had all over Twitter where Myles got held by two guys?
Blatantly, might I add.
We didn't talk about that yet. I mean,
how do they? What were the refs looking? I saw it on TV at the time.
Yeah.
Now it was 10 yards away from the play. The play was running to the opposite side. He wasn't near the quarterback, and maybe they just gave it to him, to the defensive guy or offensive guys, and but they had their arms wrapped around his waist. I mean, it couldn't have been any more blatant than that. And it didn't make the radar. So
Yeah.
Well, Mike, anything else in PFS? We can do our Victory Monday mug.
The only thing that stands out really is if you block Matthew Judon, then and you pretty much take care of any type of pass rush they have. I mean, he has 10 sacks, and the closest to him is the other end that has 3 sacks. Other than that, there's nobody that stands out from you have Chase Winovich, but I mean, he's average. And then on the offensive side, I'll do this real quick because I know somebody asked, and their tackle on Winu is at 87.8. He's number 1 overall.
mm-hmm.
Damian Harris is at 84.6. He's second, but again, he's probably not playing because he's in protocol still.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones quietly having a really nice year. He's an 83 overall, coming in third. And I mean, they do have a pretty solid team. I mean, as you know, Mike, it's to be green very far down the list is pretty darn good. And you hit 18, which is the fullback who's got a 65 too, and then it doesn't really get yellow until 21. So I mean, they're from a PFF standpoint, they all have solid scores.
Yeah.
So I put the PFF in the chat. So type in not PFF, the Victory Monday one. I've got 9 things going on in my brain. Type in 1 to 100 now for your chance to win the Victory Monday mug from Cleveland Clothing Co. Good guys at Cleveland Clothing Co. We were actually up there. My dad and I visited their store in Cleveland last week and picked up some gear.
Swag.
Yeah, I was gonna wear my Victory Monday shirt, but I couldn't find it. I think it's in the wash. So we'll have to wear it next week. But yeah, I mean, let's get that Victory Monday. For anybody who doesn't have a Victory Monday mug, it's the best thing about Monday after we win. Just to have the mug.
For me, it's like it's an extravaganza now on Monday morning because I got the mug, the flag you got me, then I got the shirt. I mean, I got it all.
Yeah.
And I got something else coming, but I won't tell you. I'm not gonna disclose it until a victory.
Fair. Well, I actually made the investment. I have my Wednesday show mug coming today. I have the mini mic Wednesday show mug coming.
Can't beat the mini mic.
It's in the mail. It's being custom made as we speak. So I will have my own Victory Wednesday or Wednesday show mug,
Exciting.
as they say. I'm excited about that. Actually, sitting there, I'm like,
I'm excited. I'm excited that you're excited.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. So, all right. So I think we've given up enough time. The winning number was 88. And if I go through it, it looks like I think Lynn Savage is the winner.
Yeah, she had 85.
Congrats, Lynn Savage. Lynn, send me an email to FridayPostgame@gmail.com with your address, por favor. Get that shipped out to you.
It could be there for Victory Monday.
As soon as I get it, I'll send it over to our friends at Cleveland Clothing Co. to have that shipped out to you. Congratulations again, Lynn Savage. Lynn is somebody who also engages quite a bit on Twitter, so I'm glad that she got the win. Congratulations, Lynn.
Congrats.
On to Browns news. Real quick. So, I mean, we have to address the issue of the week. Everybody's still talking about it a little bit. It's worth talking about the Odell Beckham situation. Odell Beckham.
Who's that?
Who's that? Still has not been picked up by a team. And Mike and I were actually talking about this a little bit earlier, before we kicked off the show. I think I don't think this is going to go quite the way Odell was hoping it was going to go. He's going to have to take, if he wants to go play for a contender, he's going to have to take a lot less money than he was making in Cleveland and kind of swallow his pride a little bit to be able to do that. And then the question will be, what kind of production are you going to get out of the guy? Are you going to get 100% Odell playing with Aaron Rodgers at league minimum?
And and just to your point, what you just said right there, they said, hey, we'll give you the league minimum for a veteran, and it's almost like, and somebody tweeted it out earlier, one of the national people, but it was almost like, hey, here's us pretending to try to lure you over, but yeah, we really don't want you.
Yeah,
I think the only one that wants him is Adams. I don't think anybody else wants him.
the league veteran minimum, I believe, is $660,000.
Now he is still, getting what, 4.2 or something like that from us, or the 3. The 4.2 we were either not on the hook for, and we were on the hook for 3, or vice versa. But either way, it's
He's making money.
Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, it's all fine and dandy that he forced his way out, and you could sit there and you could blame Baker all day long, and you could blame Stefanski's spread around the ball offense. But at the end of the day, if somebody is going to tie up money for a player and tie up money for that next year's salary cap, they got to make sure that this person is worthy of those millions of dollars. And I mean, we know the myth of OBJ, and we know that the old OBJ is worth that money, but we've yet to see the current OBJ.
Yeah.
He hasn't performed. And I mean, we could have put a tape together with the drops that just as good as the tape that was put together with him being open. So, I don't blame, a team like the Packers saying, hey, sure, you want to jump aboard? That's fine, but we'll give you 660, and that's what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got to be a little bit insulting though. Like they're offering him the least possible amount that they're allowed to pay. It's like minimum wage.
Yeah, essentially, right?
It's like what we don't. It's not like they're going to go out there. They're not in a bidding war.
No.
And if they're like, okay, well, the Saints are going to pay you a little bit more, and you care about the money right now because you just dive bombed your quarterback, you dive bombed your team, and you think you're going to get rewarded for that? You think another GM is going to go, okay, I'm going to give you $7 to $10 million for the level of production that he's done?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to give him any guarantees. I think the best he can hope for, and if I was him, I would play it up, is incentives. If I produce, you pay me big bucks. If I catch the balls I'm supposed to catch, and you target me, and we win games, and I get touchdowns and receptions and whatnot, then pay me. But don't guarantee the money and then have a performance like you did for us this year. That was terrible. What a waste of money and a distraction for the whole team. So I think if they structure it correctly and he swallows his pride and says, okay, fine, I'll show you what I can do on the field, then it could be a win-win for him and for the team. But I can't see them guaranteeing money for him at his age and with his performance. It just doesn't. It wouldn't make any sense. They'd run a GM out of town if he guaranteed money like that.
Yeah, and Kim Jones, who covered him in New York, and I don't want to say she's his mouthpiece, but they're very tight. And she tweeted out a little bit earlier, actually right before the show, that a source says, and we know the source is OBJ, but a source says It's don't look for a decision right away. He's going to take about 3 to 4 days to think about it and then make his decision, which to me, I don't buy that one bit. You can't tell me that he was not gunning to play this weekend. And now all of a sudden, if you're looking at another 3 days, I can't see, they sign him on Friday, he plays on Sunday, or they sign him on Saturday, he plays the next day. I don't see a scenario there.
You can't.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to be doing.
Yeah. So I think to your point, Mike, and Dan, you might have mentioned it too, but I think what OBJ thought. So what we thought we were going to get from OBJ in a Browns uniform is now what OBJ is noticing and finding out about what he thought he was going to get in these, few days after he was, went through waivers and had the pick of the litter of what he thought, and doesn't feel good. OBJ, does it?
No. And that's the thing too. And they're putting out the reports that they're reports, who knows how true they are, but that if somebody picked him up on waivers, that there's going to be issues.
Oh yeah. Earlier in
So he was clearly trying to manipulate this whole thing in his favor.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know what? You get what you wish for.
Fact.
They're not buying 2015, 2016 Odell Beckham. They're getting 2 surgeries Odell Beckham. They're getting, that demon attitude that has kind of festered its way back up to the surface. Odell Beckham. He couldn't be happy with the coach of the year, a team that's very good on both sides of the ball, who's contending, who won games, who made it to the playoffs last year without him, but with his best friend on the team. He couldn't. That situation didn't work for him. So what situation will?
Yeah. I mean, you want to go to a winning environment and a playoff team. I mean, we were 11-5 last year.
Yeah, and right now isn't the time to determine who's even a playoff team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you look at the AFC and it's wide open.
You look at a team like the Cardinals, who are off to a red hot start. You look at the Bills. You look at these teams, and there's no guarantees in this league. So if he just wants to go and collect a ring, that's one thing. But he's going to have to go out there and produce, and he's going to go and he's going to have to be a part of it himself. And he hasn't shown that for a while.
Yeah.
Ara is saying that my mic is cutting out now.
Yeah, it was cutting out a little bit, but I think you're back.
Okay. I apologize, guys. This is just part of the fun of changing up my technical setup. This will be fixed. I promise you that. Any other news, guys?
Well, yeah, talk about the Hill, the running back. They
they got the guy.
He's got some pretty good credentials. Little that I saw on the internet. So he's not a rookie or a guy from Boise State or something that played a couple of snaps last year.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged, especially if he comes from a background where the offense is similar to what Stefanski has. Then he could, with 2 or 3 or 4 days of practice, he could be a good substitute. And we've seen what substitutes can do. They just get motivated. They just get psyched. They just, play out of their gourd sometimes. And that would be a good supplement for Johnson. If Chubb and Felton can't play, they don't pass the COVID tests, which I understand is more chances than not that they are not going to play, because all the stars would have to align with these 2 tests, unless they were false positives. And I think the Giants had one on Barkley earlier in the week, even though he was hurt for something else. I think they came back and they said there's been some false positives on the Giants But I haven't heard anything today about false positives or anything. So we'll have to see.
And to your point about, I did pull up Hill's stats. So, yeah, he played. So he came into the league with the Bengals, but then he was with the Falcons 18 through 20.
Right.
And in 19, he played in 12 games. He had 323 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. He had 10 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. Fast forward to last year, 100 attempts in 16 games for 465 yards and a TD, and 25 for 199 receiving. So, yeah, I mean,
where did he come from? Where did we get him? Was he on somebody else's practice squad?
You know what? That's a good question.
Tennessee Titans.
He just showed up.
Yeah, is that where he came from? The Titans?
I think he was on the Titans practice squad. He played for Atlanta the last couple of years. In a very
yeah, there's nothing on here.
RB3 type role. So
yeah, came from Wyoming, 26 years old, 5 years in the league.
Yeah, he literally just turned 26 yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
So
6'1", 216. So I mean, solid. You know, he's been there before. So if
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I'd much rather have Dearness and John Kelly or Dearness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Felton, but nonetheless. All right, guys, my audio is cutting out. I have to fix this type of stuff. It's frustrating. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'm looking for a good game against the Patriots. They always play tough. Belichick he's not the coach he is for no reason. He knows how to get guys up for games. He knows how to exploit your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have too many weaknesses on either side of the ball. So he's going to have to be creative with his offense. They're going to have to bring their B+ game, I think, to beat us. We have to show up. We can't take it for granted, which I don't think we will. We've got this positive feeling under our belt after beating Cincinnati, and so I'm looking for a good game. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Mike, what about you?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I have too many feelings throughout the year, but I don't know. I feel good. I got a good feeling that we're going to go on a run. I feel like, and I know it's a term that's used all the time. We need a galvanizing type of win, etc. And I think that's what we got on Sunday. And I think that, we all saw the meme or not the meme, but the picture of Njoku looking at Baker when he was talking to him, and everybody was joking, you find someone that looks at you like David looks at Baker, and Miles usually does the speech on the field, and he said, no, I don't want you to do this. I don't want to do it. I want you to do it to Baker. And it seems like we've got a locker room full of professionals. They all rallied around Baker. I mean, because really, that's what it was. And they like him, and they think he's a leader, and they think he's their quarterback. And I think that it made the locker room stronger, I believe. And I think that we're going to go on a nice run here. And I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, it always is, except for that one time when we had the blowout. But I'm thinking, maybe a 10-point game. And, as usual, the Browns never let us rest. Although last week they sort of did. And Laura was trying to ruin my happiness for a second, because I was like, oh man, this is finally we won. And I mean, we were up so big and there was 2 minutes left, and she's still like, I don't want to hear it. But we're used to that as fans. But I think it's a 10-point game. I don't know what the score is yet. I'll hold on to that until Sunday. But yeah, I think we win by 2 scores.
And we had a super chat that came in from Rick Atkins. With 2 offensive line extensions, do you think we'll be able to sign Walker? I think he was on a 1-year deal. do we really need to sign Walker?
Yeah, I think in terms of, I don't know if they'll extend Walker next year, but the one thing I will say, and I saw a couple of reports today, is that Denzel Ward is probably going to be next.
Extended longer.
Yeah, they've been apparently talking about it since the summertime. So that was the report I saw, that he was going to be next. And then I'm sure, I mean, I can't see them letting David walk. I think you gotta re-sign him, and then you got Baker, and I don't know.
Hunt's already locked up. Kareem's already
Yep.
locked up. Baker's the next kind of chip if he's going to be the guy in this, in this puzzle, right?
Yep.
And I think he's proving that he can be that guy. If you don't, as long as you don't ask too much of him. If you ask him to, to do it all, you're probably gonna have a bad time, right? But nonetheless, so my final thoughts, guys, and I hope my audio is doing okay. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's a very winnable game. I do think we will win the game, and without Nick Chubb, without Kareem Hunt, without those guys, I think we're gonna win the game. And the bottom line is we need to. We got to keep this thing going. We have a very good team. These are the next couple games are games that we absolutely have to win. I think we will win. And, we'll get through the protocol just like we did last year. Hopefully these guys are going to be okay, and wish them all the best from a health perspective. Who knows? We might even see them play. All we need 2 negative tests in 24 hours. We might get lucky.
Yeah.
You never know.
Right.
Big news that JOK is going to be back, and it looks like he's playing, which is awesome. That's going to be a huge help. I mean, our defense is kind of starting to gel right now, and the fact that JOK can be a piece you can add right back into that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So,
and to that point, Mike, I think what's great is we thought maybe he'd be back for the Ravens game, but now we get him back this week. If like I said, they said he looked good today, but let's say we do get him back today. Tell me you don't feel really good about him having several games to get his feet back under him before we have to play a Lamar Jackson Ravens team.
I think it'll be fantastic. I just hope he's ready and he's not rushing back.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? I want him to make sure that he's good to go, and I trust the doctors. Hopefully that they're giving him good advice, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
You guys see the one tweet one person put out this afternoon, which listed the top quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks coming out next year and how they were doing. And, I looked down the list. I was looking for a Trevor Lawrence, type player. And I didn't see one from 1 to 5. I didn't see a guy that, if the Houston Texans, they need a quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is not their answer. And they have 1 win. So, they could be the number 1 pick. And I didn't see one. In fact, Mike Hooker was like 9. And so he's playing decent for Tennessee, but he's no, first round.
Yeah, I just think it's too early. It's too early to tell about who's going to be this quarterback, because so much of it comes down to like the pro day and the combine.
Who wins the Heisman? I mean, a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, I think that the kid from Cincinnati actually looks pretty interesting. He's a kid. So
he was on the list. Yeah, he was up near the top.
Yeah, and then Matt Corral for Ole Miss is going to be up there pretty high too. So I mean, there's definitely some. Matt Corral was in the Elite 11 with Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Quincy Patterson. I remember Matt Corral coming out of high school. We've talked about him on the show a little bit as well. So I mean, he's gonna be in the league. But the good news is I don't think we really have to worry about that too much, because I think Baker's going to be our guy. It's going to be about making those numbers work, and hopefully he can continue to progress. And I don't think we've seen peak Baker. Sometimes I think we've seen it, but then he has a game like we had last week where he throws as beautiful a pass, a deep ball as I've seen him ever throw.
Right.
And the beautiful one to David in the end zone too.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah. I mean, to seal the game and really put it out of reach, and that was beautiful.
Yeah, to Stefanski's credit, he did not, even when they scored that second touchdown, even though they missed the 2-point conversion, which made us feel a little bit more comfortable. When we got the ball back with a lot of time still left, Stefanski didn't sit on the ball. The first play out of the box, he threw a pass, and then he threw another, and then third down and long, he throws that one into the end zone for a touchdown. I would have run the ball. I would have used up the clock just in case, but that certainly was icing on the cake. It was good feeling for Baker and for Njoku, I guess, who caught it. So it was a good way to end the game. A little icing on the cake, a little cherry on top. It wasn't pouring it on by any means, because the game was technically still in doubt. But it was a good way to finish. We don't normally see those types of finishes. It's us hanging on, trying to survive an onside kick or whatever, because we let the defense let them back in the game. And in this particular case, the defense did not let them back in the game. Did not give up that quick score when you're down by 21. The last thing you want to do is give up that big quick score. And we didn't let them do it. I think they did have one long play, but it was called back for a penalty. So that negated that. So, like I said, 4 quarters, first time. Let's see if we can play another 4 quarters, or maybe 3 out of 4 this next weekend.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah.
And we will, Dad, thanks for joining.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we will be back on Sunday. I believe it's a 1:00 game.
Yeah, we're not, it's not on, I just checked, Mike, it's not on locally, so we're going to have to stream it.
Okay. Well, so is the way.
Right.
So, all right, guys. Well, thank you guys very much again for being here on the Wednesday show. Appreciate you all. Congratulations, Lynn Savage. Make sure you send me your address, Lynn, to browniepostgame@gmail.com. We can get that Victory Monday mug out to you. And we will see you Sunday morning at around 11:30ish. We'll see you then.
All right. Go Brownies.
Go Browns.
Browns.
See you, Michael.